Okay, this is part 2 of the Illinois thing, and I'm going to try to get through this so that, we can, get Illinois over with, because I have a bunch more states to go still. Okay, so continuing off, in Galesburg, Illinois, the first law is no person may keep a smelly dog. I can understand how that can be, somewhat disgusting, and why they may make a slight law for it, but I don't understand why it has to be a law per se. It might be a recommendation instead of a law. Okay, the second law for Galesburg, Illinois is it is illegal to burn bird feathers. I want to know why you would be burning bird feathers. Maybe you are practicing a ritual of some kind, but then there comes the fact of state versus religion, and you can get into a lot of trouble for that and everything. And, it's not very fair for people to be, the law to be against your religion. So, I don't know where that one came into play. Maybe it's just something that they weren't thinking about. Okay. The third law of Galesburg, Illinois is jousting others is illegal. So, it's illegal to go and crowd others, or crowding others is illegal. Which I understand, because it's their personal space and you want to, have them keep it that way. So, I understand where they're getting at, but it's sort of like, it's, you have that right to go into their personal bubble, but they have the right to ask you to leave their personal bubble. So it all depends on how they perceive it. Okay, the fourth law of Galesburg, Illinois is no bicyclist may practice fancy riding on city streets. I'm guessing by fancy riding they mean trick riding, which I understand a lot of towns and things like that have laws where you cannot ride on the sidewalk with your bicycle because they are afraid of tearing up the sidewalks and things like that, or you getting hurt because you don't know what you're doing. So it makes sense in a sense. And the fifth law of Galesburg, Illinois is there is a $1,000 fine for beating rats with a baseball bat. I don't know if this one is true, but beating bats with a baseball bat, you have to be really, anti-rat to beat something with a baseball bat. So, if you guys know, what that would be about, tell me. Okay, in Horner, Illinois, it is against the law to use a slingshot unless you are a law enforcement officer. I know plenty of kids who love using slingshots, so if, it's not exactly fair for them to not be able to use a slingshot. But I don't know why only law enforcement officers would be able to use one. In Joliet, Illinois, town fathers reflecting the pet peeve of hearing their town's name mispronounced, Joliet, when all local folks were pronounced it Joliet. Okay. It made mispronouncing Joliet a misdemeanor, punishable with $5 fine. This makes sense because they have very high standards for their, town. They have town pridesmanship and everything like that. And, it doesn't help anybody if they, are anti-towning. I guess that's the best way to do it. In Keilworth, Illinois, a rooster must step back 300 feet from any residence if he wishes to crow. I want to know how they're going to keep track of all the roosters who are crowing, because they are an animal, and animals have their own minds and can decide things on their own. So it is up to the animal to decide whether they want to crow or not to crow. In Kirtland, Illinois, bees are not allowed to fly over the village or through any of Kirtland's streets. Again, I don't know how you're keeping an animal from doing what it naturally does. It's, up to the animal. They make the decisions. They make, that kind of stuff for themselves. In Moline, Illinois, ice skating on the riverside pond during the months of June and August is prohibited. So I want to know why you're going skating on water in June and August and how you're doing it. Because in June and August, most of the lakes where I live are not frozen over. They are pure water, And if you're skating, ice skating on lakes that way, you're gonna drown. It's just plain and simple. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from drowning, literally. And, okay, so the second law of Moline, Illinois is there's a ban on unnecessary repetitive driving on 23rd Ave. That makes perfect sense because they don't want you to mess up their roads or anything like that and for them to have to pay more for your roads. So it makes sense in that method. In Motrot Grove, Illinois, you may not own a handgun. I find that personally against your Bill of Rights because you have the right to bear arms. And I don't think it's fair for you to, if you feel like you need a handgun on you at all times, then I think you should be able to go out and buy one. Okay, in Normal, 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 Illinois, it is against the law to make faces at dogs. Well, that makes perfect sense because if you irritate a dog and it attacks you, you should be at fault for irritating the dog. The dog shouldn't be. So it makes sense. In Orland Park, Illinois, no pool tables are allowed in public establishment because it promotes gambling. Maybe in Orland Park, I don't know how their history went or anything like that, but maybe they are a very anti-gambling town, park, whatever you want to call it. Because by that statement, it looks like they may be an anti-gambling town or park. So it's up to, what the town thinks as far as that one goes. In Ottawa, Illinois, sitting on the sidewalk is a criminal offense. I want to know why you're sitting on the sidewalk, personally. And I want to know how this came to be a law because I want to know why it's a criminal offense because personally, as long as you're not doing anything against anybody, then I guess it's perfectly fine. I don't, really see what would be wrong with it. Okay. In Park Ridge, Illinois, trucks may only park inside closed garages. I guess it depends on what kind of truck you have and things like that, because if you have a truck like an 18-wheeler, it makes perfect sense why you'd want it in a garage. Whereas if you have like a little truck that everybody uses, I don't see the reason for having it in a garage if you don't want it in a garage. So it's your property, you can decide what you want to do with it. In Peoria, Illinois, basketball hoops may not be installed on the driveways. This makes perfect sense because if a plow comes by and knocks it down, you don't want to be missing that basketball hoop, first off. And secondly, the town doesn't want to have damage to their plows or anything for damaged merchandise, in that matter of fact. In Zion, Illinois, it is illegal for anyone to give lighted cigarettes to dogs, cats, or domestic animals. This is a state law already. I don't see why they had to make it a city law. So if any of you guys have any questions about these laws, I know I'm extremely speaking really fast, so it's because I want to get through this part 2 and get on to the rest of the states because the rest of the states' laws are extremely, extremely shorter than Illinois. So I'll talk to you later. Bye!